Hi people, it's Archivist here, and today I want to talk more about the Call of Duty Modern Warfare beta. However, rather than talking about anything too specific about the functional mechanics of it, I wanted to talk about something a little bit personal that I've noticed as I've played this game. And so, for context, I've played Call of Duty for many years now. Way back in 2007 I started with Call of Duty 4, and I've played every single one online, at least to some extent. Probably the most time invested in Black Ops 1, the least time invested in Infinite Warfare. But with the ones I've tried to get into, I'd say that I would rank myself humbly as an average to above average player. Not amazing, but I really wouldn't call myself a bad player, historically speaking. And I remember in Black Ops 1, I felt like I was a pretty decent player, if I'm perfectly honest. However, as I play the Modern Warfare beta, I realised that I'm an average to below average player. My skills are really not that strong, despite my best efforts, my greatest concentration. I'm just not really doing that great at it. And, of course, the knee-jerk reaction of any player is to want to blame that on the game. But this is a multiplayer game, right? Everyone's experiencing the same thing. If I think I'm at a disadvantage, then I have to critically think, why is my opponent not at that same disadvantage? Why are we not equalised? Something had to change between us if it was unfair on me, but it's not. We start the same, we play the same game, the mechanics are the same. So it's kind of sad, because I think maybe, if I'm honest with myself, maybe I'm just slowing down, and it's kind of tragic to think of in a way. I'm only 23. I started playing these games when I was, about 11, I think. And the great thing about when you're young, very young I should say, I'm still young, but when you're very young, is that your reaction times are absolutely off the charts, right? Your twitch abilities are just crazy insane. Just high, like all the time, hyperactive. And in a game like Call of Duty, that is a very good strength, because your ability to see your enemy and snap to them in seconds and start shooting is everything in a game like Call of Duty. And also your ability to see properly. I have to admit, although I don't wear glasses or contacts, my eyes, I have noticed, are not what they were. And to be honest, I probably should go have an eye test, to be honest, because especially long distance, my eyes are probably from working an IT job and playing games. I'm not surprised I've completely broken my eyes. It's like as you get older, it's not just natural deterioration, but also sort of the lifestyle, right? Most of us are working like a 9-to-5 job, and when we come home at the end of the day, we're quite tired. So in that respect as well, your energy levels aren't as high as they once were, because you don't have as much time to put into the game. And I suppose I'm starting to notice and feel a little bit of sympathy for older gamers, because I can see myself getting towards that route. Because although there will always be single player experiences which we can tailor the difficulty to what we need to do, multiplayer is a young man or young woman's game, right? It's especially with Call of Duty, it's a reaction based shooter. And I suppose I'm having a little bit of a sobering moment here, because I'm realising that, okay, I can still be a little bit competitive at these sorts of games, but I am, if I am brutally honest, getting worse at these sorts of games, whereas I used to feel like I was pretty damn good. And it's difficult to know what to make of that, because do I then say, okay, should more be done to change these games to make them easier for people as they get older? But I don't think that's really fair, because why should younger people be denied their ability to enjoy this sort of experience? And maybe, if I'm brutally honest, maybe in a few years' time, even though I've enjoyed this franchise for many years now, it just won't be for me. It will get to the point where I've slowed down so much and my vision has deteriorated, and I've kind of become so incapable that I'm just no longer competitive in this sort of game, and I can't actually, I don't know, I just can't be competitive. And no matter how logical my mind is, no matter how much I know to check my corners, to make sure I'm not rushing too much into focus fire to burst fire. If my reactions aren't there and my visibility isn't isn't what it was, then what can you do, right? Because those are necessary components. And yeah, as I was playing this game of domination, I got a few decent kills. I did well enough. I managed to come, I think, in the end of the match, second to top on the winning team. That's great and everything. But there were definitely a few engagements that I lost that I know back in the day I would have been able to win. And certain times someone would appear to the left and my brain just wouldn't recognize them fast enough. They seem to be able to just get the drop on me. And it gets to the point where everyone appears to be really good at the game. But if everyone appears to be really good at the game, then surely all I can say is that I must be getting worse, because that is the more logical reasoning of it. And it's almost like you want to say, can we have like a casual portion of this game and then a hardcore portion of this game where people of equal skill levels are playing together. And I suppose maybe that's something, actually. I'm now saying out loud, that could be a thing. Obviously, the intention of the game is to try and, when it goes live, I should say, is to try and match you against people of equal skill level. It could be that during this beta, there isn't actually any kind of skill matching at all. So someone like me, who may have always been not particularly great at the game, is actually being matched against people who are way outside of their skill level, and therefore, in reality, I'm just realizing how bad I've always been at these games. It could be something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised there, because I suppose when you've only got rank 1 to 20 available at the moment, how can you really distinguish which players should fight against which, right? And maybe they don't think that the player base pool is big enough to be refining it down to skill as well. So maybe it could be something like that. It could be that skill isn't being matched as it should do. I mean, I've played games like Overwatch, right? And in Overwatch, it's all about your skill, because there are no way of upgrading characters. The character you choose is the character you get. And if I play a game like that, it's crazy to see the difference between the worst players in the game and the best players in the game, like absolutely crazy. Because I've had a few times where, although my rank in Overwatch is quite low, sometimes people will create fresh accounts so they can play with lower level players and absolutely decimate. And it's amazing that people can be this good. But again, I remember a time where I was pretty decent, and this is maybe the first time I've really recognised that my reactions, maybe they're just not enough. Maybe I'm just not good enough to be able to compete on these sorts of games anymore. I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear anyone else who's noticed that, because again, it's not necessarily that you're, especially again at the age of 23, I don't think my body is failing me. I don't think I'm particularly ill or anything. I think I'm in pretty decent health, but I think it is, again, it's things like, having to work a long hours job rather than school, where it was pretty much just half your day you had to work and you could mostly just forget about it. And also the eyesight thing for me is a bit of a problem. I really should just get that sorted out. But there are elements of becoming an adult that, although you want to continue playing games like this, you realise on the multiplayer side, maybe we just don't have time. And that's why I get a bit frustrated about people getting annoyed at casual players, because the reality is, when you get older, if you want to be a genuinely responsible, active adult, you don't have time to put as many hours into games as you used to do. It's just, that is how life works. And it's a little bit unfair to be too brutal to casual players, because just not everyone has that time, even though we want to be playing these games more. Just physically aren't enough hours in the day if you want to balance out with like a 9 to 5 job like I have. So yeah, this has been a little bit of a personal one, because I felt like I'd already covered enough of the beta already. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what people think. I have no idea who might watch this, what ages. If you're younger, appreciate being reactive, as I suppose I should do, because I'm sure I've still got many years of at least being decent at these games to come. But one day, I'm gonna kind of just gonna play a Call of Duty game when I realise, no, I'm just not good at this anymore. But yeah, as always, people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.